podcast episode something. It's been a
80.
while.
I'm making a
80.
claim. We're 80
Yes.
years old. It's
Wow.
a guess.
It's been
Could it be
older.
right? Could be. Could be wrong, though. Johnny,
wrong.
Levi,
Levi.
you know what it is. We're the Only Nerds podcast. We talk about nerd stuff, and we're kind of new. We're getting
Sometimes.
older, but we're still kind of new.
Yeah, we have. When are we going to change it to all old nerds?
I think we got to make it to at least 35.
Okay.
So we got a solid decade.
I'll also talk about this week, though. I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot of news dumps.
Johnny, did you catch the big movie of the weekend, Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods?
Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods? No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, me neither. I also haven't watched it, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
We're going to talk about it anyways?
Because I don't care.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we want to talk about that. I mean, Mando, Star Wars is, we're getting weekly, double weekly Star Wars now. So that, lots of, and that's what we usually talk about, but
I'll be honest, this is one of those, those earlier pods that I think the information skews more negative. I mean, I'm enjoying everything with Star Wars, but the story surrounding Star Wars right now.
Oh yeah, no, they've been.
The numbers apparently on Mando are not great. Well, not great relative to some other stuff. There have been some misleading
relative
headlines.
to 2, but like it's literally hard to beat.
There've been some there've been some misleading headlines, but there's also, I think there's something to say that there's not as much interest for The Mandalorian season 3. And we're talking about that.
I think, I mean, again, I hope, they get. I do think it's a question of cameos and like not like the characters coming in. Like I think there will be new characters. I mean, I certainly hope so. We've been all returning faces so far, but I hope I don't know who, but maybe get.
I'm confident that as the season goes on, the interest will build as crazier and crazier things happen.
Of course.
I think
when Moff Gideon comes in, that's when it's gonna be. When Moff Gideon comes in, whenever he comes in
the last 5 minutes,
the last 5 minutes, yeah, exactly.
I swear, we talked about this the other day. Moff Gideon is one of the weirdest villains in all of Star Wars, who only appears in the very
back
end
half
of both shows.
Not even the back half. Like, yeah, it's like more like the last.
Season 2 is a little better because he gets like 1 minute between episodes 3 and 4. And he gets little stingers at the end. He's not really in the show, honestly, at all. But in season 1, it's literally the end of the penultimate episode. At the end of episode 7, it's the last 2, but it's not until the end of 7. The last 3 minutes.
That's right. Yeah,
when he shows up.
Down. Yeah. Yep.
And then it's 8. So that this dude is the most like, I'm the villain of the show, but am I though?
Right. Yeah.
Terrible. Anyway,
who was the villain?
On the topic of
Mandalorian, that's Moff Gideon.
We also have Dave Filoni, who has done a lot of interviews and press for The Mandalorian recently, and he
likes to talk. That guy.
It does. He has a very funny way of talking, and he doesn't he doesn't lie about stuff either. He says he talks about how Ahsoka is going to be filled with cameos.
He can be vague, but
this time he's not. He
says stuff flat out.
So he did an interview with The Wrap saying that Ahsoka is going to be filled with cameos of returning characters from his animated universe, as well as the touching upon the Mandalorian, what Kathy called the culminating in a climactic story event, cinematic story event. So he touched on
the Avengers Endgame of all this.
So he's touched on what's going on with that. That's what's going on with Dave. So we got that story to cover.
Yeah.
What else is there? Yeah, the Shazam bomb. Marvel moving all of their
superhero movies, like, are they changing?
Marvel is canceled.
What is happening?
Marvel has canceled, but delisted
everything.
all of their shows. So, for example, Secret Invasion, which was supposed to be spring 2023, that just says coming soon now. Agatha, House of Harkness, which the name is
everybody's favorite show.
Everyone's favorite show.
Yeah.
Which was scheduled for the later this year. That date's been pulled as well. The Marvels obviously got delayed. That's being reshot as we speak. I think Guardians is the only thing that's on track still to come out. But other than that, it's all
it's hard.
Guardians is picture locked, but the rest of Marvel's slate has all been pulled. Disney has announced another $5.5 billion in cuts, and it looks like Marvel is going to bear the brunt of that.
So what you're saying is all good.
Great stuff.
All positive.
Very positive. Very positive. I mean, Daredevil started shooting, so that's positive.
Yep. John Bernthal.
Punisher.
No, Deborah Ann Wolf.
Yeah, but
no Karen Feige.
Recast.
At least not there. And Vanessa. Ay.
Weird. Well, speaking of multiple universes, let's take it from the top. So this weekend, another blow to, we can sort of combine the topics, but another blow to the superhero genre in the form of Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods, which came in well under its box office projections. It only made about $10 million, $11 million in its opening day. For comparison,
no, it's gonna be a second week sweep.
For comparison, Scream made like 20, Black Adam made like 36. Black Adam, which was sort of a famous box office failure, made over triple what Shazam did this weekend.
No, it changed things though.
On its opening day.
It certainly changed things, actually.
Over its opening weekend, so the numbers only go down from here. Shazam only made $30.5 million, which means, could this thing not even break 100 million? Possibly.
Probably.
God damn, though. That's terrible.
Again, a second week sweep.
Yeah, the rare, it's gone up somehow.
Yeah, it's going up.
More people are excited to see this movie after the poor word of mouth. Yeah. So in the film, which I haven't seen, again, Wonder Woman shows up, everybody. But mainly the big thing that's got me fired up is there's a post-credit scene with the Peacemaker squad inviting him to be in the Justice League. Shazam into the Justice League.
So if you listen to the podcast, we
what does this mean, James?
Talk about DC. Talk about DC.
How does it fit in the DC? It makes me angry.
We're all sort of kind of fans, but it's
I like Batman. That's what I like.
Usually when we've reported on it, it's been
terrible,
negative, not good news.
Listen, man. I'm a TIE Interceptor enthusiast. This is what I want.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
I don't want this garbage where I got James Gunn lying to my face on the red carpet saying, "Oh, Shazam fits great in the next chapter of the DCU, and we'll be moving forward with Zachary Levi. All things looking good."
But it's
the movie has Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and all these references.
But she still could be Wonder Woman going forward. I personally wouldn't like that. I know.
I would like it, but it makes me still mad because if they keep her, why not?
It's
the weirdest cherry picker. Well, they're already cherry picking because they're putting Amelia Harcourt, James Gunn's wife, might I add, in every single DCEU project. And honestly, I mean, I like the character. However, it does make it exceedingly confusing because she's going to be in the new DCU, but
she's also like heavy in the old,
but she's very heavy in the old. And clearly it's the same character.
She's gonna be in Waller.
She's gonna be in Waller, obviously. So. But she's inviting Shazam to be on a Justice League, which no longer exists. Also, why is the Peacemaker team inviting anyone to be on the Justice? Or maybe it's the I'm sorry.
No.
Well, it might be the Justice Society of America.
Was that it?
Which is from Black Adam. But they talk about the Justice League.
No, but Shazam is usually a Justice League member. So he's not a JSA member.
I don't know. Whatever it is, I hate it because he also references the Avengers. Doesn't matter. The fact that Black Adam isn't in this movie at all.
The Rock doesn't think Shazam's.
It makes me angry, people.
Shazam's not The Rock thinks Shazam isn't worthy.
I'm sorry. I think I misspoke about the Justice League thing. I know they referenced the Justice League, which is annoying because obviously it's not the same Justice League, but they're talking about they show the other Justice League. But they definitely honestly, if they talk about the Justice Society of America, that's worse because that means they're referencing Black Adam. But Black Adam, The Rock went out of his way to make Shazam not part of his movie.
Yeah.
But took all the elements.
But yet he did.
Oh my god, I hate it.
But yeah, he did because he had what's the actor's name? What's the actor's name?
Ooh.
The guy who
Damon,
the Shazam god.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's in both. His name he's an excellent actor, but it's like
great actor.
It starts with a D and then there's a J and then there's an M. It's I love that guy. He's in Guardians. He's in a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Kingsman, great.
Yeah, Kingsman.
Great.
The Kingsman.
Great.
Or
The Kingsman. Yeah, it was the Kingsman.
Prequel one. Yeah.
Great actor.
Anyways, messy.
Terrible.
Messy.
What?
Well, and Levi, you've gotten hung up on the whole what's canon, what's not canon. I think we just gotta wait. Just gotta wait.
I know.
Because James Gunn is gonna say whatever he wants.
Give me a second. Before I clap back. Because what do you mean James Gunn is going to say whatever he wants? He
has to be positive about. I mean,
he's the president of the damn company.
So he has to be positive about the movies. And I will say, for superhero movies, for that genre, a lot of the draw is How is this going to connect to a greater universe? So, like, do I think James' approach to all of it is the best? Absolutely not. I'm not defending his actions.
There's a difference between doing PR and outright lying about everything.
I know, and I don't.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Obviously,
what's going on?
I think, and I said this from the start. I think we just need to wait till the end of the year because all these movies will be out. Aquaman's gonna bomb clearly.
Okay.
Not just saying that because it's literally has been quoted as the worst comic book movie of all time.
And I don't know if we've talked about that on the pod, but that fact is crazy.
I think we've been.
It's gotten delayed years. It's gotten delayed years, and it's finally coming out. 18.
18.
Yep.
Was the first one.
Yep. 5 years later.
5 years later.
It's hitting theaters too. Who gives a damn?
Something comes out.
But I mean, okay, your point though about how sometimes a draw to the superhero genre is that it's part of a connected universe isn't necessarily the case because Ant-Man is also bombing, and they tried to sell that as a piece of a connective tissue.
Yeah.
And it's doing awfully
well. But I also think Marvel. But I think Marvel is its own scenario, though.
But is it? Well, yes, obviously it is. But I mean, in the sense that is this a new era? You referenced it earlier. Like, is this? And this might be it might be the title of the video, but I think Q1 of 2023. This first 3 months.
This is our clickbait thumbnail.
It's not even clickbait. Do you have
it's a genuine question at this point.
2 main superhero films from the 2 big studios bombed. I mean, Ant-Man is not only a third sequel, but it's setting up. It was the first,
and the first one,
and it was the first movie of
a whole lot better. Yeah,
well,
that too.
I mean, the first one did, by Marvel standards, terrible, and this one, the third in the franchise,
but better in comparison. Yeah,
but better in comparison. But no, I was saying this is the first film of Phase 5.
Phase 5.
This was
literally setting up.
This was
is all leading towards.
This was the kickoff. Here's your big villain. Here's Kang, and then they just did a repeat of
Loki. And I'll reference. Hey, check out Levi and I's review of the movie. Spoiler alert: we didn't like it.
We didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
No, not
a fan. Good. Messy movie. Just wasn't.
So obviously, you're right. That there are 2 separate companies, 2 separate scenarios, but there's definitely a trend there.
For sure.
Here's 2 movies from the 2 big superhero studios that completely fail. So if the metric I've seen laid out on the table, this is pretty technical for our audience, but if Guardians doesn't hit 700 million specifically, just because of operating costs and the way,
and mind you, keep in mind Ant-Man. I forget Ant-Man's numbers. Do you have Ant-Man's numbers on your head?
Yes. So right now, worldwide, it's sitting around $420 million. Domestically, it's
again a lot of money, no matter who you are, but it's
a lot of money. But in terms of how much it actually costs,
numbers, that's
the profit, all the time that's spent into it. The first Ant-Man made $500 million. The second one, $600 million. And this movie is not going to get anywhere.
Which that's insane to be that the second one made more than the first.
And it's not going to get anywhere near Ant-Man. Well, that's what I'm saying. Even with those super small pockets of the MCU and movies that aren't even necessarily that good, I think a lot of people consider Ant-Man and the Wasp to be one of the worst movies in the MCU. Is that it got $600 million?
Still did well. That's the thing with Marvel.
Like it still did well. Like that's still relatively well. That's like average.
But I also do think it's because people cared about people cared about where this is all going. Yeah,
exactly.
But now I don't think people do. I mean, but I also think it's a bit of Marvel's fault. Holy
Marvel.
It's late. Marvel fart. It's probably to do with them because I mean, I think they've been literally so all over the place with like, where is all this going? And now that we're getting like this, I think they've like kind of run their. I mean, they've had a whole entire phase of movies and shows now that I just like overall as a phase didn't do quite well from fan reception and box office. Like, and they're expecting audiences to like come back and like be excited for like this big event, and like horrible way to start.
You remember the Moon Knight tree? The tree debacle of the logs.
Yeah.
Take me back to that.
That's what I'm saying.
Simpler times.
I'm not saying like that. Phase 4 was all bad. Clearly, it wasn't.
I'm actually kind of a large Phase 4 defender. In our past reviews,
I'm not so much because I just
and that's understandable. I understand why, but I was a big proponent of the fact that you know, we got to do what Phase 1 did. We got to set up a new, like, to me the theme of the the theme of the multiverse ran pretty strongly throughout, and it was Loki was the core. Loki and No Way Home.
Loki was the core of that, absolutely.
Like we were seeing the multiverse is opening up, and here's what's happening. And then then for the start of Phase 5 to regress somehow.
I know that's what I was gonna say. Like,
oh my god,
Loki literally did everything that Ant-Man did.
I know we could go on and on about that.
We already talked about that, but it's just like
our audience is sick of the genre, or are the movies just bad?
I think it's both. I mean, I've felt burnout like 100%. Like, you know, I've stressed that. I mean, I've not been like, I'm not really excited about any Marvel products anymore. I mean, like, you know, the prospect of Spider-Man 4, like, I'm, you know, mind you, I don't really want John Watts to direct it, but, you know, everybody's favorite John Watts. Not my favorite, but
friend of the show, John Watts.
Friend of the show, John Watts. Right. Thank you. And I mean, Daredevil. If Daredevil is bad, we can talk about Daredevil for a quick second because there's
that might be the end of the Ultimate.
If Daredevil is bad, I think that'll be the nail on the coffin. Because I mean, Blade, I was so excited for that, but
remember that
the worst friggin' like production story as well. You know, it's just.
Well, I'll be honest, I forgot about Blade.
Yeah, I know. I don't think there's I don't even know what the last report about the movie has been. But
I think the last report was when they had to switch.
When they're we're scrapping the whole thing.
When Mahershala Ali said, "I will not act in this. This is terrible."
Yeah.
Can we give John Watts the title ally of the pod? I think he's an ally.
You think he's an ally?
Yeah, I think I want him to know. I want him to have like a
ally of the pod.
Ally of the pod. John Watts.
We can.
Maybe we can arrange it. We can talk after the show. But yeah, my God, the fact that I forgot about Blade, that says a lot.
Yeah. Like that was another project I was excited about. I mean, like besides the Guardians,
Blade in Eternals. That was like a year and a half ago.
Long time ago.
That was supposed to be out by now. You heard his voice. Mahershala Ali's voice was in
it. It was hype even when he came out. Was it Hall H or was it Detroit? I don't know. Whatever it was. Whenever he came out, whatever convention that was, whatever it was. But yeah, I mean that was obviously so hype. You know, the announcement of Blade movie and then Mahershala coming out. You know, great casting. You know, still would love to see him as Blade, but I just it's just. I care about Guardians. I'm excited. I mean, it's James Gunn. It's the last Guardians movie, at least with that team. So it's that
team, yeah.
Oh
my God,
the Guardians. I don't know.
Insufferable because James Gunn is going to get asked about DC shit, and it's going to be.
Oh yeah.
The most terrible.
That's all the conversation is going to be, and
the dude literally lives in his Twitter replies, answering questions, and just apparently
about DC.
Yeah, and apparently just making stuff up too.
I don't think anybody's asked him a Guardians question.
I know, not in the last 6 months.
He hasn't
got a single Guardians of the Galaxy question. Right. To briefly touch on that, though, one of those replies was someone asking about Ben Affleck directing, and he had this whole.
Oh God, yeah.
And he had this whole spiel about how.
Yeah, if you want to make the jump to DC, because we can.
Well, we were switching back and forth.
The future, I guess.
This is just about the this is about the superhero genre. And the state of how it's being managed right now, because Marvel also seems rudderless, and with this DC thing, to talk about Ben Affleck, So obviously Ben Affleck, he's been doing promotion for his Jordan movie that he directed. He's obviously becoming more of an acclaimed talent behind and in front of the camera, but his connection with Batman obviously huge. James Gunn is asked, "What's the future?" This was from a fan, a well-meaning fan who just likes Ben Affleck's Batman, and he was like. Oh, Ben, we've been talking with Ben. He would love to direct a future project for us. We've been talking with him, and it seemed like the rumor on the street was maybe Ben Affleck is going to direct Brave and the Bold. Would be awesome. Very cool. He could do a Batman movie. Then Ben Affleck comes out and is like, not only have I not talked to him, I don't want anything to do with the DCU. James Gunn seems like a nice guy. I'm maybe a 5-minute cameo in The Flash. Don't like that. He starts going down the list of everything you're trying to say about me. Not true. I don't want anything to do with it. I will never direct that project.
Which, I mean, again, which upsets me about James Gunn too, because that was a big blow. Because I mean, I'm one of the ones who was excited and took his whole presentation video positively. Levi did not, but
no,
I took it positively. I mean, even moving on from that, like, he's directing Superman.
Yeah, that's the story we have to cover. Yeah, which
Superman
adds
Legacy
to this,
directed by him.
which adds to this management thing, man. He's tripling down on himself.
The first three projects
are all just him.
All his.
It's all he's writing all of it and directing most of it. I mean, the Superman movie is obviously the most important thing.
Yeah.
And so to me, and like the trades are kind of clowning on him. They ran a whole story like James Gunn hires ... himself, and it's like I think it was a Variety article because he.
But I'm in the boat that I'm cool with it, and I'm actually very excited to see a James Gunn Superman movie, especially because he wrote it. And like
I am cool with it insofar as the fact that I think it could be an interesting take. However, to restart the universe and predicate it all upon the debate is, Zack Snyder was too much of an edgy take on Superman. I like James Gunn. To me, in my head, they are very similar styles of filmmaker where they have a very particular angle that isn't too dissimilar, where they like, to me, how is this going to be that different from a Man of Steel? Like it's going to be
a different style.
Sure, but it's going to be Man of Steel, but with more edgy humor. Like,
well,
I don't know. Like,
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yes and no. I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan, so I'll just go ahead and say that.
Just in terms of the vertical,
but I know what you're saying. Like
unique style, they are both this is their
style. They're following the same pattern.
Yeah.
That they did before.
Yeah, exactly. It's the exact same goddamn pattern. But they try to start a universe against one man, and then it's all gonna unravel. And I'm like, it is literally.
But I will say the projects are more exciting.
Sure, but it's giving me deja vu. Well, Johnny, I would kind of argue the slate that they announced back when Zack Snyder was the guy was exciting. Back when they announced the Flash in 2014 or whatever, and they had like Cyborg,
Nightwing.
They had Nightwing. They had the Justice League Part 1 and 2, and it was like
it's a crime. It's a crime that the only live action Nightwing is on Titans.
Oh, speaking of which, quick, even with sub derailment within this conversation.
Yeah.
A Gotham Knights or whatever that show.
Oh God.
Came out. One of the craziest things, I was watching clips of it online.
Yeah.
Atrocious. I don't even know
how it got made, how it got greenlit, like all the questions. I'll say the only thing.
There may have been a jarring edit there. We went down a Gotham hole. Don't go down the Gotham hole, everybody. Ignore it. You know what? Forget about it. Don't go down a Gotham hole.
Yeah, I don't know how that show got greenlit or how it. They're literally just putting it out because.
Anyway, CW. That's the whole other thing. The CW verse. Forget about it. How does that relate to anything? I don't care.
Well, Superman and Lois.
Apparently very good. But let's jump back. So you have that going on. Then you have, like I was saying, how Snyder is the same as, essentially they're doing the same thing again. It is the exact same. It is a very similar blueprint.
Similar, yeah.
But
personally, I have more faith in James Gunn than I did Zack Snyder. But
that's a subjective thing, but that's fair.
Yeah.
But are we looking at? Because quite frankly, none of the Gunverse stuff has gotten much traction. Are we looking at in the next this string of, because it's too late, the stuff's already in production. Is this next string of a couple years here gonna be the death knell of this era of superhero movie, and we're gonna have to shift to something new?
I'm a lot more worried about Marvel than I am DC.
Because if they don't make money anymore, they're not gonna get made.
No,
that's the bottom line. For the while, Marvel was the king of the castle.
Do you think Marvel's gonna make it to Avengers? Like that's genuinely a question I have.
No. Well, yes, but not in its current form. Because right now, the guy who's writing Avengers is Jeff Loveness, who wrote Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which is like one of the worst. Why?
No, he's like a Rick and Morty guy.
I swear to God, dude. Kevin Feige watched Rick and Morty one night and was like, it's literally the Pickle Rick meme. He was like, this is the funniest that I've ever seen. I turned himself into a pickle. I gotta get these people to write all of Marvel. I mean, Jessica, who wrote that episode, is who made She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So, personally, I like She-Hulk. I think for Rick and Morty,
I like She-Hulk, but
for him to poach not like the entire writing staff for all of Marvel, because you have him, you got who wrote freaking Doctor Strange. I can see his face.
Oh,
Michael Waldron. Michael Waldron. Michael
Yeah,
Waldron. He's Rick and Morty. Jeff Loveness is Rick and Morty.
I don't know. I don't know why.
All of them are Rick and Morty.
I don't know why that.
Marvel used to have other writers. Joe Johnston directed freaking Captain America.
Yep.
Amazing. Someone who the dude designed the Millennium Falcon, directed Jumanji, Jurassic Park 3.
He has a crazy career, that guy. Oh my god. But
what an interesting take. Now it's just like bots. Jon Watts, Peyton Reed. Sorry, I'm making the call.
What is it?
I'm sorry. This is guys. I'm sorry. This is an angry pod. I'm feeling rage.
I know. I don't want to get too harshly negative, but I think it is a real conversation though. Like I've been thinking about this for a little longer than I think most people have. But like I'm like, where is this all going?
I don't know.
This is not going to be forever. This is a genuine question. I'm thinking.
I gotta roll back. I gotta roll back the negativity because Peyton Reed, right? I think we like. Obviously, we love what he did on Mando, to whatever extent he did. I think what Jon Watts and Peyton Reed, I think what they represent in terms of studio involvement of Marvel film, I think that's the problem. I don't think they as directors.
It's studio control.
Yeah, I'm excited for Skeleton Crew. I'm both of those guys have talent. Yeah. It is the fact though that it's like they become puzzle pieces. They're not really directors. I referenced
but I know, but I mean I think that's safe to say though. But if you look at their track history, especially Jon Watts, like it's one of the most random things I've ever seen. Like it makes no sense.
Where do you start? Where it's here's Jon Favreau, Joss Whedon, Joe Johnston. You're getting
experienced people,
interesting perspectives though.
Yeah,
freaking Branagh directed Thor.
Yeah, what's his name? Branagh. Whatever.
Right.
He's in Tenet. Yeah.
That's his name.
Yes.
What's his first name?
Keep talking.
Kevin? Keith?
No, it's not Keith.
Klein?
Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, Kenneth.
It is. Kevin Klein. Yeah, okay. Kenneth Branagh. Anyway, like interesting takes, like interesting perspective. That first movie is kind of underrated. Anyway,
I agree as well.
This has been an interesting divergence, but it is. I think it's a representative.
I mean, I will say, if you're confused hearing us talk about all this, we're confused.
It's confusing. It's confusing.
All of it's confusing. None of it makes sense. It's
Marvel has
all
become
over the place.
Marvel has become. It's Martin Scorsese was right, man. We were all making fun of him back during the time of Endgame, but he was absolutely like what he prophesized became true. I disagreed with him, but then, in my opinion, it came to pass. It has become
it's more so the longevity of.
It's become like an assembly line, and the films themselves, the pieces of art of media, are losing their longevity. You're right. Longevity is a great word.
It's sad. I haven't felt something in a Marvel movie in a little while.
Shang-Chi, Eternals,
personally,
Black Widow. I would even say Love and Thunder. Personally,
I put Love and Thunder in that.
Yeah, personally, I know you put personally. I'm keeping Multiverse of Madness. I'm like, that's got Sam Raimi. I like you.
That's sad because Sam Raimi is in my top 5 directors, but was definitely disappointed with that one.
But the fact that these movies, this art, quote unquote, this cinema, is pretty much just gonna it's just like blobbed and it's gonna be lost to time because it's not this phase. Yeah, you're right. This phase, like what is happening? It's aimless.
Like if you really think, I get it. Like take the individual project as it goes, but like if you think about like the grand scheme of it, it's like you can't even compare it to before Endgame.
It's like what's happening? Yeah. It's literally it's incoherent.
It is.
There's so many
many different like stories going.
I know. There's so many little anecdotes.
It's like two.
This podcast is full on ADHD brain, but it's okay. But literally, like thinking about all these individual moments. It's laughable thinking about the Kingpin door. I'm like, that's something that happened in Hawkeye. Like that's not a joke. That happened canonically in the MCU. That not only was Kingpin there, but
he's referencing the finale of Hawkeye where
but he's got this goofy ass scene
in a reference to the comics, but he was in a Hawaiian shirt in the middle of winter.
Hawaiian shirt gets hit by a car.
A limo door off and got hit by a limo.
Like, hit by this car and then it was shot in the head by Echo in the alley.
Yeah. But he's alive though.
Oh my god. And then I'm not a
Echo's another show.
I'm not a monster, I'm a mother.
That's right. True words have never been spoken.
Just all these anecdotes. Like, remember John Walker, Captain America? That was a thing. I liked that.
I liked that too.
That was a thing that happened.
Thunderbolts, baby. Well,
that was 2 years ago. John Walker, Captain America was 2 freaking years ago. There's no
Levi, Thunderbolts is going to be a film, and I am frightened for that movie.
Thunderbolts.
You want to know why?
So many reasons. Why.
So many reasons, but Harrison Ford is going to be Hulk in it.
Roz, Red Hulk, Harrison Ford.
It's going to look bad.
I'm sorry.
It's going to look bad.
This is turned on to a full-on Marvel bashing podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to. Okay.
Marvel phases though, but really, it's like comic book schizo posting. Like, it's crazy.
Let me take a side step. I love Marvel. I loved it since Levi too. Like, we've loved it since we were little. Like we've been obviously we grew up with these movies, but it's just like they lost. I feel like they lost something. I don't. It's not us getting older. Like I've debated that. It's not. They've just gotten shittier. Like, genuinely crappier movies.
Remember Moon Knight kaiju fight? What is happening? Like, what is going on?
Remember he was just flying?
Yeah,
that's not a thing. He has an aircraft in the comics. I mean, in most of
I forgot. He just flies. Moon Knight finale was that whole god plot line with the random god. Oh my god, dude! There's so much random just stuff going on,
and it's not like it doesn't make any sense, and like all these products have their moments, but like in the grand scheme of it all,
Loki honestly was the one shining factor, and then honestly Quantumania kind of like took away from it.
Yeah, well, and for me, No Way Home, I regardless of that movie's flaws, that is a movie I'll never bash.
I also like No Way Home. However, it's still, even though I like it, and I like similarly in the way that I like Multiverse of Madness, it's another one of those anecdotes that's like, how is this happening in canon and there's not a consistent story with it? Green Goddamn Goblin, played by Willem Dafoe, was in the MCU
back in 2002,
as was Professor X, played by Patrick Stewart, was on screen.
I feel like nobody talked about. Nobody talks about.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the anecdote here of the 90s animated show, live action Patrick Stewart Professor X was there on screen, and that
I didn't care. And it sucks because I loved it. I'm a big 90s cartoon head.
But the fact that was just like the fact that was just like that was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
John Krasinski was Reed Richards. Oh yeah, the Fantastic Four. Like, we did that.
It's not special. It's
like, what?
But I love to interview, like, I'm not saying that we're old. I mean, like, I love to interview like kids who are growing up with this stuff now. And it's like, do they find it like?
Do you follow this? Like, yeah. Do you understand what's happening?
I don't even know how I would like. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, Jane Foster was Thor, and then died, and then goes to Valhalla to become Valkyrie. There's so many with Heimdall's there. There are so many threads that I'm like, how is any of this going to get?
There's a Captain America thread where it's like the Thunderbolts, like kind of government.
Sure.
I don't know, storyline with Val or whatever, and then there's obviously the whole multiverse stuff, and then there's
the convergences what are they? Yeah,
the Eternals.
Oh yeah, the Eternals, man.
Like oh yeah, they had a huge friggin' like the whole planet was getting like.
Oh yeah, remember the end of the Eternals when a literal god shows up over Earth and says, "I'm going to judge God." No. Yeah,
coming out of the.
You're talking about this. Yeah, you're talking about the Celestial coming out of the ocean.
That too, yeah.
Which they're gonna touch on apparently in Captain America 4, which could be cool. But no, it's more the fact that dude shows up. Yeah. Celestial shows up over Earth. Everyone on Earth sees it, and he says, "I am going to judge Earth. Your days are numbered." Haven't heard anything since. It's like, what is going on? I've used that phrase so many times, but I can't. This is the way I feel about superhero movies right now. I am the most disconnected.
It's more.
That's the whole genre, man.
Marvel's a more extreme case, I think.
No, again, but we're using Marvel as an example. It is the whole damn genre.
DC is a mess too. Yeah, for sure.
It's the whole genre.
And that's really all you can talk about too is Marvel and DC when it comes to this, because I mean they're obviously the two flagships. I mean they're not Bloodsport. What was the Vin Diesel?
Oh yeah, Blood.
What was that?
Oh no, Blood. It was Bloodsport, wasn't it? Bloodsport is the name.
Bloodsport's the Suicide Squad.
That's Suicide Squad character, right?
But isn't it
Bloodshot?
Bloodshot. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Whatever. Well,
Vin Diesel. One of those Vin Diesel movies.
Everybody, yeah. Anyways, don't worry. That's a comic book. I think
don't worry. Don't worry. The Vin Diesel franchise has long been thriving.
Levi, it's another franchise we haven't even mentioned yet. How about the Sony Marvel stuff? That's a mess within itself.
I didn't even think of the sub genre.
Yeah, the sub genre.
Johnny was sort of doing a bit there because we were talking about it earlier. I'm not even kidding. In between the time we talked about it, I had forgotten about it. I'd forgotten. Oh my
guess what they're doing? So they got El Muerto that's starting to shoot. They got Madam Web.
What are they Craven. What is happening?
Kraven the Hunter.
A bunch of Hollywood executives literally do oh my god.
It's the actor name, and I don't think people. I mean, El Muerto was in
two frames,
two issues, and he wasn't even the main villain of those issues. That's all he's come from. Not a video game, not another movie, nothing.
This is what who I don't recognize myself. Who have I become?
It's late.
I know. We're
going down a bad rabbit hole.
A bad bunny rabbit hole.
Bad bunny hole.
No, for real, man. I mean, the Marvel Sony stuff is even more confusing. I don't understand.
And there's that, and they're doing a Spider-Man noir show for Amazon Prime and a Silk show.
Oh, I forgot about the Silk show with the Walking Dead showrunner of the last 3 seasons, everybody's favorite. Why? What? Who?
The numbers aren't good on these movies so far.
Venom 3 is coming out. There's another one of those anecdotes. Venom gets teleported into the MCU. Only in his post-credit scene, only to be immediately teleported out in the end credit scene. No Way Home. One of, if not the most confusing, unsatisfying cinematic moments in all of film history.
For sure. Yep.
The dude's just at the bar.
For Venom 2, their biggest marketing piece was, Spider-Man. Venom might fight Spider-Man in the future. That was the biggest.
Andy Serkis directed that
movie.
What is happening? This is what happens.
Kino Loy directed that, Levi.
Kino Loy, One Way Out. Yeah. This is, I think, what I'm experiencing right now in this late night pod.
It's kind of like a brain break, mental breakdown.
Is what the concept of an artificial intelligence thinking itself to death is, where the code it folds in on itself and it stops working.
That's what
that's what I'm realizing about the entire superhero genre right now.
That keep coming out and out and out and out, and they're doing worse.
And they're making less and less sense. And connecting less. And why?
Not that I'm in a boat where I don't need everything to be connected. I'm fine with having standalone projects, but those standalone projects, not that good.
It's just one of the most confusing. The death of a genre. That's what, and we went way longer on this conversation than I thought we would, but I didn't really realize how
extensive it is. It runs deep.
Well, kind of in the industry's kind of in a terrible place.
I mean, let's take the projects aside. I mean, you mentioned Disney's cutting costs, WB, DC, a whole nother.
They've canned movies that were done. Multiple. They continually are canceling things that are in production.
The only hope I have personally for the superhero genre is James Gunn is DC. That's the only, and that is not even a great one.
Do you think? Let's tie this to the Mando conversation, and we talk more about.
Let's talk about something that we love,
which we unequivocally do love.
Unequivocally love.
But we referenced at the top of the show, maybe the numbers are down. Do you think maybe it's because the entire audience of all of this kind of genre content is sort of like disconnected from, they're confused, like are people
It's
just
an
confused?
overabundance.
Yeah, are people just confused about what the hell to watch and what's going on?
Well, I'd like to bring this up, and I don't. I mean, I don't completely. I'm more playing devil's advocate for it because I'm personally okay with it. But I do think Mando season 3 specifically having low numbers, like I think it's kind of confusing though. Like, take Boba out of it. It's like I mean, because that was the big draw like of the show was Grogu, and like Din, and like obviously Grogu goes. I mean, I don't need to recite it, but
Yeah.
season 2 ends like, and Boba like cover that whole story.
Oh,
obviously Boba, people aren't. Not every Mando fan watched Boba, obviously. So it's like I do think that has a little bit of a piece to it. Is people being genuinely confused? I'm like, okay, wait, Baby Yoda's back, and like, because I've we're both college students or whatever. But anyways, I've had like people just people at school just talking about it, and they're like, did I miss like something? I'm like, yeah, there was
the whole show actually
show in between, yeah. So it's just like,
I know, and this is sort of something I think I brought up a couple months ago before the show come out. We had a whole discussion about is Star Wars going to hit a point where fans, new people can't, like casual fans can't understand it anymore.
Yeah,
because with Ahsoka coming out, and this is where we can work in this Dave thing. I think we're reaching the critical mass of, if you haven't seen at least Clone Wars or Rebels, that's like basic. That's basically the same thing as, oh, I haven't seen A New Hope.
Yeah,
like you need to have seen those shows to understand like the basic outline of what Star Wars is at this point.
And I mean, and again, I think season 2 acted as that like real push of like, okay,
narratively
going.
Obviously, I'm sort of in a mood right now, so obviously that's not true. You can watch something. You can watch something and not have.
Well, I don't think you're wrong though. I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm being hyperbolic.
It's getting progressively more and more confusing because now we're dipping into like heavy Mandalore stuff and like Bo's history. Not that they didn't in season 2, but it's just like,
I saw my parents who they watched the other day, and they watched Star Wars almost purely because my mom likes it, but my dad is definitely, he watches it only because I like it so much, so he can talk to me about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Do you guys remember Book of Boba?" They're like, "Yeah, like I think so." And there was this and that, and
I think so.
But for them it was, I was talking to my dad about Mandalore. He didn't really remember Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like we've been talking about this since 2010 because season 2 of Clone Wars was airing and we were watching it. He's like, oh, like this has been something that's been pre-established. And I was like, yeah, like she's a character who appeared over 10 years ago in animation and has made the jump. And he thought that was cool. He's like, oh, I appreciate that more, that there is this lore there, and she played the character in animation and has jumped to live action, and he comprehended that. And I think luckily we're obviously a Star Wars family, so he could appreciate that. But I think for the average,
but not everybody.
Yeah, I don't think the confusion. The point is unique. The point is that there's this confusion there. That's like, oh, this character exists in a cartoon that came out a decade ago. What? Like that's essential viewing to this, huh? So I don't know. I'm a little.
I've been like recommending and I've been giving people specific Clone Wars lists on like these are the episodes that you should watch.
It's interesting as a fan because I am loving the content so much.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars, and I think we can both agree it's never been better.
Never been better. When I have, and I obviously am sort of famous for loving all of it. But when I have,
famous for it.
Well, I've gotten into some controversy for it, so more like infamous. But when I got 50 minutes or 40 minutes of Dr. Pershing giving a TED talk about strand casts, about how like Snoke is going to.
That was great.
I am locked in, and I'm like, I love this. But the average person, might be like, what is happening?
Yeah, the whole amnesty program, and just all of that. I will actually, you know what? This week was my first little bit of like, okay, that kind of went over my head a little bit. I mean, because there's a lot of aftermath stuff. There's a lot of book stuff.
I know.
I feel like that went. I do think that went over my head a little bit. I mean, I know like of it, but it was just like.
In the reaction, I'm going, oh, it's this, it's this. Oh, we're doing this. I was really going for it.
Yeah, but I'm thrilled that, I mean, I'm thrilled they're doing book stuff, but I mean that's just something I'm personally not tapped into. So it's just it's interesting.
It's getting dense.
It becomes a question where it's like, is it, they're not pandering to fans, but like they're including all like this fandom stuff, but like when does it get overly confusing for the general viewer?
But it's a catch-22, because if you don't acknowledge this stuff, then you're gonna have fans like me get upset because I'm like, well, what the hell is the point of me buying all these comics and reading all these books if?
Well, you remember there's this whole thing with like them changing book canon. Like, I mean, I think I'll bring up Bad Batch season 1. I mean, minor changes, but like that was already in the Kanan book, and they changed it for animation. But it's just.
But yet, unlike before, they kept it the same. They made an effort to make it the planet, include the clone name, make it's still the story from an overhead view is still the same, and that's what's interesting. And usually, it's only so far only the animation is contradicting. Interesting in live action, it's been much more respectful. I mean, bringing in Cobb Vanth the way they did, literally, you can't stress enough. Character only in 3 chapters across 3 books. Very niche.
Like character. He's borderline El Muerto level.
He is El Muerto level. Before Mandalorian, this dude is El Muerto level. So to respect,
and he's like a fan favorite now.
Yeah, and to respect that story, to elevate it and tell it pretty much, the spirit of the same story. That's
maybe we're being too hard on El Muerto. There's some El Muerto fans out there.
No, there are no El Muerto fans out there. I can guarantee you that.
There's not.
No one had heard of that character until they announced that movie.
I didn't, and like I think I'm the resident Spider-Man fan on the channel here, so I just didn't even. Just
I don't know, but anyway, Dave. But in reference to Dave also says, so he's being interviewed by The Wrap, and people are talking about the interviewer is talking about a similar idea, and is saying, when you set out to make these shows, do you intend to bring your characters into animation, right, from animation to live action? And his answer is, sort of along the lines of, well, no, but at this point, Star Wars is becoming, it's just the story. And so if the character fits, it fits. I mean, Ahsoka Tano, for example, is this Jedi, or, Force user, I should say, who embodies the Jedi way, fits into the story. And he gives this impassioned response. But the key takeaway is that he's like, Mando, not so much, not as much. However, he straight up says, Ahsoka is going to be, I couldn't help it. I made it and I filled it with these characters.
It's his character. So,
so my mind is obviously racing. Like who's going to be in that? Who's new? Because obviously we know the Rebels. But
the whole thing, like who's going to be in the Ahsoka show?
Meebur Gascon. I mean, he's throwing.
Oh my! That's. I'm a Meebur Gascon fan. That's all I want. That and Hayden in the Clone Wars armor. That's it.
I'm just saying, like, if he's telling interviewers,
go on,
I may have gone a little bit. I may have indulged myself, Dave Filoni, a little bit with throwing all these characters in. If even he is saying that,
my God, I know.
As fans, lose my mind.
No, I mean we're like you and I are gonna go crazy because we'll know these characters.
Oh, you're in the strip for the general audience. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean that's you're taking it back to that. I mean that's absolutely true. I was trying to move past that, or not move past it. But
move past it.
Well, no, I'm not. That came out wrong. I meant like I had moved on in my mind, but you're absolutely right. Like
I think it's an interesting. It's just like the longevity of kind of. I mean,
Star Wars is unique though because
Star Wars is unique, but like it's just more so just the longevity of all of it.
It has been a consistently told story for
for so
45 years now.
Yeah, I mean I say it now, but I don't think I'll have that Star Wars burnout. I don't see that happening with me. But
probably won't ever happen.
Yeah, like that's Star Wars over anything for me, and for you obviously. So it's just like I don't know, like it's just an interesting the longevity of all of it. But going back to it, I mean, you kind of gave me the spark notes of the interview because I haven't had time to read it.
Let me pull it up.
Ahsoka, man. We've been saying it since Disney Investors Day.
I know. Here we go.
Can't wait. Sorry. It's gonna be insane.
Slight delay. But Drew Taylor of The Wrap interviewed Mandalorian EP Dave Filoni, and he teases, this is the title, a big event in this time period is very real. So asking about so the interviewer asked, Kathleen Kennedy said in 2020 that the series would culminate in a climactic story event. But more recently, John has said that The Mandalorian could go on forever. Are you building towards a climactic story event, or has that been put aside? And Dave, of course, starts with the answer, well, from a certain point of view, it could build like kind of thing, and The Mandalorian could still go on. It's not necessarily an either or, is it? Yeah. So what he's saying there is that maybe we get the team up show.
Goes into this sequel trilogy?
Well, I think more that we get the team up show.
Yeah.
And then there's another season. There's Mandalorian season 5 afterwards. Like it still goes. So the story ends. Yeah. But there's going to be another season. So here we go. There he goes to say, it's an interesting way to think about it. I tend to think as we've been working on The Mandalorian and then writing Ahsoka, and then John Watts came in with Skeleton Crew, ally of the pod. That was me, not Dave Filoni. There is an entire time period that's built in the Jedi. And I look at that time period, which before The Force Awakens is around 30 years of time. When you look at the original trilogy, it's a much less significant amount of time that those 3 movies take place in. And so what I like is that we're really building very slowly an ecosystem of characters and politics and events in this time period. Yeah. And that's going to expand in a bigger way as we add more shows and add characters. The good thing is that we're all talking creatively together about where these stories are going. I love whiteboards, and I whiteboard everything and have timelines. They always start back with Phantom Menace and go all the way to The Rise of Skywalker.
I want to see those whiteboards.
I have all these slots in between and where everybody's doing everything. So I can look and commiserate with Kathy on what's going on and say, what's going on here or there. It's very fun. I think the reality of there being a big event in this time period is very real. That is all I would say to that. So he's being coy, but he acknowledges.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's safe to say, yeah.
He acknowledges that they're building to something. Mm-hmm. But then he clarifies, but yes, if John wanted to keep making Mandalorian stories, as long as he does not get bumped off and said Titanic event, then I suppose they could continue. So he's referencing that maybe Mando could die. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take that part too seriously.
Yeah, but yeah. The key there though is he acknowledges.
There's a buildup. There's a buildup.
They're building.
But that's like, but again, like let's tie it back to like a Marvel formula. Like this is, I feel like we're in the Infinity Saga right now for Star Wars, and so let's say there's this big,
and Mando season 5 is the Black Widow.
Yeah, like I'm not. Yeah, I don't know.
Here, well, quickly, I want to reference the Ahsoka quote. So he says, at the end of the day, I'm very happy with the characters that I've gotten over to screen. There may or may not be more in Ahsoka if that's your thing. If you're excited about that, I'm just saying that one might have a few more, which makes sense, by the way. As you know, I wrote it. You can't fault me there, Dave.
Fair enough, Dave.
Dave is like, listen, man.
Like, it's my characters. I gotta put them in. Yeah.
I gotta put them in.
Which is that? I mean, yeah.
You're right, though.
Ahsoka's gonna be insane. I don't even think it's we can say it to Kingdom Come. It's gonna be
I think the consensus right now is that the story is at least they're teasing Thrawn. They're building Thrawn as the
intended.
Yeah. But let's say they beat Thrawn, in whatever it is.
Yeah. But then I feel like that would go. I mean, let's think of Star Wars timeline here. That goes into the First Order. At that point.
Well, does Thrawn go into the First Order though? It's rhetorical for me.
I don't know.
My answer is no.
No, I think he.
In the way that,
like, knowing his character, I feel like he would have his own.
In the way that canon is established right now, the people who are working on the First Order, I can only say this so many times, but they're out in the unknown regions. That's your Race Sloane. That's Race Sloane and Brendel Hux. They leave at the end of Aftermath: Empire's End. They show up at the Eclipse, which is Emperor Palpatine's dreadnought, and they see that they have a whole fleet in the unknown regions, and they say, using technically Thrawn's hyperspace lanes that from the Emperor. But anyway, they go out there and it's like they're gonna start bushwhacking through the unknown regions to Exegol kind of thing. That's the implication. But it's Starkiller base. They're doing all this stuff out in the unknown regions. Outside. And then the people left in the galaxy
building up there,
and people left in the galaxy, they might be influenced by them a little bit, but these are like the C-team dudes who they didn't make the cut. They didn't get to go off and be part of the cool kids club.
Right.
And so that's how you have people like Moff Gideon and all these warlords who are trying to seize power because you got all this stuff around. And so you got the C and B level guys being like, oh no, I'm in charge.
Yeah, I started to think about like I mean I started bringing up, but like the whole like I was saying like comparing the Infinity Saga and like this big event and like Mando season 5 like what would that be? But
Black Widow.
I think Star Wars is different because we know
where it's going.
Like, the sequel trilogy, so like we know more.
There's more story, yeah.
Than more story. So like I think I'm gonna like I was about to like present it as like Mando season 5 like that'd be crazy, but I think like there's a story there too though.
Oh, there's always a story there for Star Wars. I think George's galaxy is so rich that there's always a story to be told.
I know, but people would say that about Marvel though too, but
I don't know. I think Marvel is constrained in some ways, but even when you had Cosmic Marvel and terrestrial Marvel, when as soon as you introduce the multiverse and
that was honestly kind of two little kind of side stories or directions we kind of forgot about too. We started listing some. We didn't even mention like the whole cosmic thing. Anyway,
I'm sorry. Forget about it. The point is that like it got too confusing too fast.
Yes, it did.
I guess too much.
But no, I thinking about it more. Yeah, like I think Star Wars is a lot different situation because
even when Star Wars goes there, say like in the World Between Worlds, it respects everything and encompasses everything. Like in Rebels, when you're in the World Between Worlds, you hear Rey, Kylo Ren, Jyn Erso, Obi-Wan, Anakin,
everybody,
Luke, Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan. You hear it all and you see, and the implication is that it's all connected and that it's all part of one thing. World Between Worlds didn't threaten that timeline; it strengthened it. Whereas Marvel at this point, and even DC with the Flash coming out, they've gone.
You're right. It's Marvel.
I think they've gone to the point with audiences where the audiences they're wise to the fact that nothing really matters and that anyone can come back and any version of characters can come back and it's not really nothing is finite anymore.
That's why I'm not the biggest fan of the multiverse as a story concept. It's a cool concept, but not as a story concept. I
think Everything Everywhere All at Once executes on the concept
the best.
Well,
that's all. That's all other
to its fullest extent. Yeah, it is. But I mean, without overplaying it. Whereas I think when you have with Marvel and DC maybe is that it's just
but as a cross-platform narrative, which is what Marvel is doing, like with this one under this one like multiverse kind of banner. Like I think it can only go so far until it gets stale, which is I think what we're seeing.
Okay, yeah, but Star Wars, I think you're saying not going.
It's different. It's totally different. Yeah, the Star Wars multiverse. That's what they're building towards.
I would
imagine.
I don't know how I feel about that.
No, I would hate that personally. I have no.
I would the only thing I would accept is if. Well, no, not necessarily a multiverse, but if they continued, if they told legend stories,
World Between.
It's more like no, but not in the same universe, but just in two separate timelines. Like I don't hate that if you like Vision.
Actually, Legends adaptations would be cool.
Like just doing.
Let's I don't know, give me a legend story, like having that. Like I think we've talked about that too, like having like legends, like animated like version. Adapted,
like the older Kenobi novel.
Yeah.
Or Dark Empire, which obviously inspired.
The Thrawn trilogy. Yeah.
Thrawn trilogy. Yeah. Like, that's obviously the Han Solo, the original Han Solo trilogy. I don't know. Yeah. Either way, I think it's acknowledged at that point that Star Wars for a long time
is different in that
had this publishing. It was always like two tracks. It was a tiered canon that you had George's canon and then you had this publishing canon, and they definitely influenced each other at certain times. But it was always like this other universe, and it's not that they're a multiverse; it's that there's just different takes on the same story. They all exist in the same galaxy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I wouldn't hate.
I feel like that would muddy. Yeah, that would.
Like if someone
muddy the waters a little bit, it just
like I would never turn down if someone's like I want to tell, or not someone, but if someone pitched to Disney and it was like a viable thing, like I want to tell a Jaden and Jason Solo miniseries.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Animated miniseries of like shorts about their lives. I'm not gonna say no. Like
no,
I wouldn't hate that. True.
No, neither would I. So I get that. Yeah, and I think another thing too. I mean. I think I'm going to compliment Marvel. The Marvel presentations those have been great, and I think they should do.
Oh, absolutely. Like as in Guardians Holiday Special and Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night was sick, and nobody talks about it.
It's like the Professor X thing.
It's probably one of the best things Marvel has done in a long time.
They keep doing, relevancy, huh?
Yeah.
You can't even say that too. You can't even say that about Doc Strange though. That movie made almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
People saw that movie.
Yeah. People don't talk about it.
People don't talk about it. Damn. This has been a crazy pod. I've
actually enjoyed the conversation though.
I mean, I really came to this was an honest realization. I was being over the top and a little bit overly negative in times because I am in a little bit of a mood. However, I think my realization is true that I don't think it's clickbait if that's the name of this episode.
No,
I do think the industry.
It's a real question.
It's a real question, and I think ones that executives are probably asking themselves and answering wrongly. Honestly, if you got like David Zaslav in charge, but
yeah, because it's like more. Well, Zaslav is like saying less though, right?
Chapek was the more. Zaslav is
Chapek was the correct.
Yeah, Chapek was the pump. But it's just like, where are we going with the genre? Because we obviously cover the genre content almost religiously. Yeah. This is our thing.
And actually, you know what? I kind of want to bring up one other point is obviously this is all the stuff we talk about. Like this is like what the whole channel is built on. So it's like, I mean, even if we really want to get like technical, whole YouTube stuff, like like videos about like this kind of stuff doesn't like. I'll be honest, like I like follow this stuff kind of closely. Like they don't do as well. Like channels like are not getting. I mean, I'll even bring up. I mean, it's. I think it's kind of a looser thing with Mando, but Mando is not getting as many like reaction views, like as normal. I'm not just saying for our channel.
The culture is, I think, but the culture around it has changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a whole kind of culture switch on. I think, but I do think like in the next like 5 years there will be like a real.
I think it's very telling that Shazam 2 came out this weekend and we didn't see it.
I mean, I was not drawn to it at all. I love the first one though. That's the weirdest thing too.
I actually don't like the first one that much, but the point is that this is a major entry in DC, and we didn't see it.
But I also think, it's like it's kind of one of those things.
I know.
DC I know. Either. So.
Yeah, I know. I declare.
But they're what they're gonna do? They're gonna push the Flash like no tomorrow though. And I think that movie is gonna be.
Yeah, they got Tom Cruise. Really they got articles of Tom Cruise in the Hollywood Reporter saying, "Oh, Tom Cruise saw the movie and liked it." Yeah. Did you see this?
I think it'll. No, I did. Yeah, I did.
Like what a weird.
I do think it'll be a good. I'm actually.
They're that desperate for positive news that they got.
Yeah, to watch the movie. The Tom Cruise report is odd.
And that was the whole story. Like that was a total.
Tom Cruise liked the movie. Well, okay. If you want to get really deep, like in the entertainment business, there's a lot more stupid articles like that. It's like I read something.
I know, but
I love Pedro Pascal, but there's articles about Pedro Pascal's favorite coffee.
This wasn't just an article though. This was the trades, which means it's official. Like the studios send out this press of that's what they want the narrative.
I mean, I think it's a cool thing, but yeah, is it?
Oh, I think it's a cool thing too. I mean,
it's
to the point. I'm not even like I think for whatever reason Tom Cruise has the zeitgeist around him where his word does carry a lot of weight. So I don't necessarily think that was a bad PR move.
No.
I'm just saying they're in a desperate place. If the news that they're trying to run is, guys, Tom Cruise watched our movie and he liked it.
Liked it.
It's like, okay.
It's true. I don't think I actually am personally kind of excited about The Flash, but
as am I. It's just sad. We're in a sad
I think let me ask you this before we wrap up. What do you think the solution is?
The solution?
Do we just chug it out until it ends or
until it croaks?
I think they should pull back.
Well, I think there's two separate solutions. I think the solutions are relative to the franchises. In the case of Marvel, I think it actually does kind of just have to croak.
I think they've if they had a better if they like started off a little stronger right after Infinity Saga, I think
And when I say croak, I just mean you don't. I think the incessant.
But they have so many things.
I know it's too much though.
And it's all like this. It's like
my point is that as of 2020, the next decade of Marvel was pretty much already set in stone, and it's too late. So we're halfway through the multiverse. We're halfway through the multiverse saga, or not halfway, a third of the way. You can't undo it. You can't hit the reset button. So once multiverse
but what was Kang Dynasty 2025?
I know it's all getting delayed. I don't know though. But anyway, my point is, once multiverse saga is done, I think there's a way to write it because of the multiverse. Is you can do a hard reset on the universe, reset it.
I think they
20 years later,
have to.
20 years later, you can do another Iron Man with a new Iron Man, a new take.
Well, I mean, actually, I was reading this too.
We're just new characters.
They're not even doing X-Men for this.
I know
the X-Men will not be.
They're doing X-Men even later.
After.
So anyway, but with DC, my solution, quote unquote, is DC is one of those brands where, as a whole, we've been sort of dumping on it the whole time, and yet they still produce on it. Like their highs, in my opinion, can be much better than Marvel's highs in terms of the quality of just the
at least recently
art. And something like, for me, I watched Matt Reeves' Batman, and I say, this is your new Chris Nolan. Build a universe out of this. This is
which they are, but I know you want it to be a little.
I'm like
Superman in that universe.
Yeah,
I agree with. So
I'm like, just build this universe because this has the strength of that vision, of a unique vision, of people are willing to see it. It's got you got a good vibe. Do it. Like, this to me is,
people are still talking about the Batman.
I know. To me, this
still
this is the definition of people responded well. Not only
there was so much hype around that movie coming, like leading up to it, like so much.
Not only is it,
I think, like Endgame level, like it got there. Maybe that's
was not,
but it got heavy hype, like more than I even thought.
I'd say it's comparable to No Way Home.
Okay, valid, yeah. Okay.
However,
that's a better way to put it.
Point is, it is a strong foundation, and usually, if I'm an executive, I see, critically received well, audience received well. All in all, it's just a good piece of art.
Yeah.
So I would say, invest more in this universe and give the creatives the time. Honestly,
which they
maybe I hate to sound like a Star Wars elitist, but maybe DC and Marvel need to take a page out of the Star Wars book and take a break. We haven't had a Star Wars movie in 6 years.
That's true.
There won't be one for 6 years because it won't come out until 2025.
Well,
6 years, 2019, 2025. 6 years. So Star Wars was willing to take a colossal gap. Can you imagine if Marvel went 6 years? It's unheard of. I can't even comprehend what that would be because of how incessant the production has been.
And I do think overall that has benefited Star Wars immensely. But I will say, I think we're at a point where it's like, okay,
it's due. It's time for.
Where is there a movie? Yeah, it's time for a movie.
But I think the ethos of actually, like, let's not make stuff unless it's creatively done and is going to be worth the effort, and then when that stuff is successful, build off of that. And that's sort of what Kathleen Kennedy has said that she wants to go for, is we don't want to work with people who can't commit to a longer term plan, and we're not going to do the thing where we just jump into a bunch of movies anymore. We got to wait, see if it does well. If it does well, we'll build on it.
That's what you have to do.
Bring it back to basics. Bring it back to basics.
But I will argue. I think that's what, and James Gunn has even kind of put it that way. Is like he's trying to take a page out of Star Wars, which that is actually a thing that I don't think people look at too much.
Sure, but that's obviously embroiled in its own weird. There's a universe.
Yes, that has its own weird thing. But I do. But to your point, I think Star Wars has the best approach right now.
It's weird that I think Star Wars is in the best place when in previous years, I think Star Wars was in the worst place.
Probably the worst. Yeah.
But honestly, in retrospect, Star Wars has weathered. As a brand, people say Star Wars is dead, but if anything, it's weathered this storm better than any of these other the tentpole genre.
I mean, it's had the longest longevity. I mean, not the I said the longest longevity, but it's still doing very well. I think out of everything, Star Wars is doing the best
right now. I agree. Yeah. But man, that's what Mandalorian was, man. Mandalorian took it back to basics, and it built off that, and we're building.
And now look where we are.
Look where we are.
Crazy.
Maybe it's just Jon Favreau. Maybe it's just Jon Favreau is what we need.
Yeah.
Because Jon Favreau is what made Marvel.
Phase 1, yeah. I mean, you know.
He was and he produced those first Avengers films. I mean, he ran throughout the whole Infinity Saga.
Phase 1 was huge for Marvel.
Yeah. It's huge for Jon Favreau. So maybe Jon Favreau just needs to run DC.
And the Lion King.
And then the Lion King. Jungle Book. Oh, the Disney live action remake cinematic universe.
Yeah. Little Mermaid.
With Gal Gadot, huh? Or no,
what?
I'm sorry. That's Snow White. Snow White has Gal Gadot and Rachel Ziegler. You know about that?
I didn't know about Gal Gadot.
She's playing the lady.
Do you like you see the Little Mermaid trailer?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. It's funny. The only Disney live action remake I've seen is Mulan. I haven't seen a single one.
Interesting. That's like probably. Well, that's not. I was gonna say that's the one I haven't seen, but I have not seen that one.
Well, I didn't comprehend for a long time. They actually started this a long time ago. They did Cinderella. They did Beauty and the Beast. It started with like. I don't remember which one it started with, but they've been doing this for a while.
They had their own cinematic universe,
and I've missed it. Haven't been on it.
Yeah.
Don't go look.
I think the Little Mermaid looks okay.
Could be good. I like Lin-Manuel Miranda. I like the songs.
Yeah. I think some of the effects are like.
I've never really been big into it, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you like it, you like it.
It's true. I'll probably may go see it. I like Little Mermaid. It makes me cry every time. I've seen a lot of theatrical versions of it, and I always cry. But anywho, is that how we're gonna end it?
Sure. Johnny cries at Little Mermaid.
Johnny cried at Little Mermaid.
Thank you guys for watching. This has been a whirlwind of a podcast. I think we did total.
No.
Oh, I think we totally did, but I just know for myself, we were jumping all over the place.
We were jumping.
It was okay though.
We're jumping through the multiverse.
Thank you guys for watching. I mean, definitely leave your comments down below about what you think about. How about this? Which franchise do you think right now, out of Marvel, DC, or Star Wars, is in the best place? I think that's a pretty easy question.
Yeah.
Follow us on our socials.
General thoughts. Yeah.
General thoughts. Twitter, Instagram, obviously YouTube. Subscribe everywhere at All New Nerds. And I think we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Woo.